Alien Covenant is a prequel to the original Alien series and a sequel to the disappointing Prometheus. Prometheus was a film of humans trying to discover where the species came from, and Alien Covenant is similar in that we discover some of the origins and mysteries of the xenomorphs. The crew of the ship, called the Covenant, are awoken early from cryosleep when the ship hits some trouble and needs emergency repair. During these repairs, the crew receives a signal from a nearby planet, which the crew decide that they're going to leave their colonisation mission in order to see the source of the signal and if their planet is more viable than the one they're heading to. From finding wheat to noticing there's no animal life in such a rich and vibrant environment, the crew come across a crashed alien spacecraft, which is the source of the signal, and which is also the same vessel which Dr. Fiona Shaw uses at the end of the film Prometheus. Now, if I ever get the chance to discover a new planet, I'll be extremely careful where I tread and what I touch, unlike some of the crew of the Covenant. Their trampling and smashing and touching of some random spores leads to the start of some dramatic misfortunes and the introduction of the xenomorphs. The xenomorphs are just as creepy and scary as you remember, and as always are one of the highlights of the Alien films. We get to see a highlight reel of the original Alien films, from face busters to chests bursting open and mouths coming from mouths. And while these are fun for a new generation of fans, they don't have the same gusto and horror like in the originals. And this is where the problem lies for the film. It doesn't know what it quite is. Is it a talky prequel explaining the backstory, a space horror, or an alien killing action film? Alien Covenant falls a little bit flat on all of these accounts. We also see far too many horror tropes, from characters falling over to not being able to get back up and turning around to see the surprise of the monster standing behind them. While these tropes are expected in your standard horror flicks, you kind of expect a little bit better from such a legendary filmmaker as Ridley Scott. Too many of the characters are poorly fleshed out, and many you won't remember their names before they meet their demise, just like the red shirts in the Star Trek films. Daniels, played by Catherine Waterston, just feels too much like a poor man's Ripley. Sadly, her dull persona makes it truly difficult to root for her. Though, the star of the film is Michael Fassbender, returning once again as playing another android named Walter. He has been a robot/android down to a T by now, and the scene with himself and a recorder is truly fantastic. Another surprising joy to watch of this film is Danny McBride's character Tennessee, who plays the ship pilot. While this film is far from perfect, it has revived my interest in the Alien franchise, making me want to rewatch the fantastic Alien and Aliens, and even to a lesser extent see if Prometheus is a better film, having seen this one in hindsight. If this is your first film with the franchise, I'm sure you'll find the xenomorph scary, but it will leave you a little bit confused and bored in the middle parts of the film where it explains the backstory. Though those same revelations will leave the die-hard fans very interested, the scares will disappoint them when compared to the originals. All in all, there are worse ways to spend 2 hours of your time, and while this does improve greatly on Prometheus, I think you'll be wanting to go back, get the VCR out and put in those VHS tapes and relive the dizzying heights of the originals.